Thanks everybody who are joining our new participants to our webinar, The Impact of Interactive Learning Technologies for Education. We have here Trevor Nell, one of our amazing partners with RoboLab. Hi, Trevor. We have Bailey, that she's going to work from our Texas headquarters from RoboLab. She's going to show us and demo the product. So please stay tuned. And obviously, we have Amy George, our K-12 account manager here to talk about our partnership, how this tool can be amazing for education. So Amy, let's just start. And I want to encourage everybody to ask questions at the end of the webinar. We will be reviewing them and answering them, all of them at the end. If you have questions for Trevor or Amy or the demo itself, please feel free to do that. We will be here to answer those. Amy, let's just start with the webinar.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. My name is Amy George, account manager for RoboLab, K-12 schools. We're going to be looking at the Movi platform and it's the impact of interactive learning technologies for EDU education. Just one second. My name's Amy. I've been with RoboLab for almost 4 years now, primarily in the K-12 sector, which means schools in the U.S. and around the world. We've done many AI labs in the past, introducing new technologies to schools and educators, primarily in the US, but of course there are around the world as well. A little bit about RoboLab. We were founded in 2011. We have offices spanning Texas, California, and Colombia, but now many others because we have also dived into the franchising sector, so business robots in the US, you name it, there's a robot. Cleaning robots, delivery robots, cooking robots, and they're all over. So hospitality, banking, retail, education, of course, healthcare, corporate, government, and public administration. But not only do we offer sales, but we also offer consulting, integration, deployment, support, and repair services. So we do just about everything for these robots as well. And then something that we wanted to do today, and what we do in most of our webinars, is introducing new technologies that are great for the classroom. So best of breed products out there, we test them. Does it have educational value? Where can it be best used? And we showcase these products. So one of these new products is the Mobi platform. I'm just going to talk about it quickly before I introduce our special guest. I would say the Mobi platform is best used in the special education sector, senior living facilities, memory care, and then K2 classrooms. They can also be used in the museum and library space as well, since there are plenty of activities. Create your own, custom content creation, puzzles, games. You'll see much more of that coming soon. But this is a great platform. One of the few of the great features of it as well is it's more or less plug and play. There's not much setup that needs to be done. It's a one-time cost for software, and there's no internet required, which are huge highlights to something that you would need in a hospital setting or sometimes schools even. It just makes a lot of sense in the educational platform and for senior living facilities. We're bringing technology into classrooms and into these centers for students and adults to use and engage with technology. We have many partners along the way, and we've won many award-winning programs along the way as well, primarily for virtual reality and in a lot of our tech in the educational sector. But I want to introduce our special guest, Trevor Nell, Director of Operations for OMI Interactive. Trevor has a background in electrical engineering and business management. His role here is to oversee production and to set the direction for R&D, both in hardware and software. We've met over online. We really enjoyed the product, reached out to him, and we clicked very well. And I think we have the same goal in mind. So I just want to introduce Trevor and all the great things he's doing at OMI. And go ahead, Trevor, you can take it from here.
Super. Thank you very much, Amy, for that great introduction. I'm going to just try and get this right first time around. Whoops, I need to share my screen here. And there we go, and I'll share that. And hopefully we can all see that. Is that coming across okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just want to extend my welcome to this webinar. It's fantastic working with Robot Lab. We're super excited. We're collaborating over there in California, also in Texas, and recently we shared an event in San Antonio where we had our technology on display side by side with some of the robot technology. So I think exciting partnership and really great tools of coming up for the use in education. Our logo is very simple: engage, enable, and empower. We're dealing with a lot of children, adults, young adults, seniors who really have lost their confidence. Some have compromised motor skills, others have compromised cognitive skills. And this is it's a confidence killer. So the journey I'd like to take you on this afternoon, this morning, I'm based in London, England, by the way. That's why I'm referring to the afternoon. Is one of how do we engage, how do we enable, and then what does it actually mean to empower? Okay, so a little bit about us. We've been going since 2005. We're a global company in that we currently sell into 22 different countries. So most of the Western countries, also Japan, out in Australia, Canada, USA. So many countries that we're exporting to. We have about 4,000 of these devices deployed globally. So every day, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people get a sense of improvement in their well-being by interacting with the technology. And I'll speak a little bit about the technology today, but mostly I'd like to bring to life what these technologies have achieved. Now, I've just got to ask, this window on the right, is it interfering with the presentation, or can everybody not see that? I'll just minimize that. I don't know. There we go. Okay. So this is our Mobi system. It's our flagship product. And basically, in a nutshell, what's happening is we're projecting onto a surface, and these two youngsters are enjoying a game together. This is a normal table. So it's easy to keep hygienic. You can clean it down, give it a wipe with a rag or scrub it down. And if we took the table out of the way, we'd be presenting onto the floor, projecting onto the floor. You don't actually have to touch anything. It's gesture-based. So just motioning a hand or a head or a foot or a cane or a Zimmer frame in the right direction is immediately rewarded with beautiful colors, vibrant sounds, and interactive images. And what we're actually looking at here is the two youngsters are playing a game against each other, and we can make either more or less difficult. So you make it really easy on the right, very difficult on the left, so we can get mixed abilities to enjoy the games together. And there's a score being displayed, and these objects will be moving around and they'd be having a lot of fun. Now we can also project onto the wall, and this is useful if there's very limited space. We do that a lot in museums, aquariums, planetariums, hospitals. But we can also project onto the ceiling. So when you have paralysis, when someone is bedridden, perhaps paraplegic, and then they can interact with the image projected onto the ceiling and get a sense of where their hands and their feet and their head are. So we want to reward any kind of movement. And for us, the key word is movement and gesture. It's very interactive. It's not about being passive, sitting down and watching something playing out in the foreground. Okay, so that's a little bit about the technology. Just flipping over. We try to use different tools, different forms of stimulation in order to bring around a sense of sensory awareness. And these range from the tactile objects, such as the paintbrushes here, perhaps a ball, perhaps a broom or feather duster. We're looking for vibrant colors to stimulate. At other times, we'll try to bring the stimulation down to create more of a relaxed atmosphere. So different technologies, both physical and technology-based, coming together for that interactive experience. And here you see the two youngsters playing again. but this time in floor mode. So they're able to crawl. This is just a normal piece of vinyl, and we can make it much larger if we want. So they're crawling around and having some good fun, just immersing themselves in the art there. Okay, so that product, or that unit we just saw there is what we call a Mobi, and it's mobile. There's a little button you press at the back and it will raise higher and lower. So if it's in the high state, then we can project onto a table. Or if someone's laid up and feeling poorly in hospital or in the care home, we would project onto the bed. And that looks really, really vibrant on the linen sheets, just to brighten up the day. It's portable, it's height adjustable, it's very strong, very robust. We're selling these a lot into pediatric hospitals, some of the most prestigious in the world. So it's not quite a medical device, but it has got conformal coating for antibacterial, and you can really give it a good scrub down to keep it sanitized. In other settings, primarily in schools, where there's a dedicated play area, we would advocate putting some technology in the roof. So that's away from the floor. The children can't touch it or hurt themselves, and they can play unsupervised. And for that, we have an install solution. And what we found over the last few years is the technology in schools, there's a real awareness in Europe, and I see it coming to America now as well, of sensory stimulation, especially in the school environment. But what we found at the end of the day, when the children return home, they don't have the access to their same technologies. They're unable to play on an Xbox, or they don't like watching television. And there's an extent to which they can play with physical toys. So we introduced a new product called Buddy. And Buddy was designed specifically for home use. It's very simple. Mount it up against the wall, switch it on, and as Amy pointed out, it works out of the box, instant on. There's no setup or accounts required or registration or subscription or any of that. You purchase it, own it outright, and you're good to go. But what I'd like to do is to bring the use of the technologies to life through two case studies. So the first case study, this is Nikki, and she's a mum of 2. And this is her son, Jake. And Jake was diagnosed with autism at a very young age. He's 10 years old at this point. And he has the cognitive capability of a 3-year-old. And with that comes the usual challenges that one sees with autism. Struggling to socialize, meltdowns, I think a lot driven because inability to express emotion or feeling or desire. And I think it's true to say that the daily life of not only for Jake, but for his entire family presented quite a challenge. Nikki contacted us and our marketing manager, Suraj, quickly figured out that she would qualify for funding from a charity. We gave the names of a few charities she contacted. And one of them, called Variety, kindly purchased a unit for her. And in her words, this has brought significant transformation into her life. And I'd just like to show a little bit of those transformations. According to Nikki, there's been remarkable improvements in his confidence, social skills, and even his speech has become more fluent and coherent. And this is where we move from the engage. The vibrant technology engages people. We move on to the enable side of our logo there. So here we're seeing for the very first time, I think Nikki shared in confidence that her son Alex, here who doesn't have autism, once asked her whether he'd ever be able to play with his little brother or with his bigger brother, and the mum said she doesn't think that's ever going to be the case. And lo and behold, here we see them sharing a game. And this is just a normal table where they normally have in their dinner, supper. And they're rolling the ball across the surface. And as they're doing that, there'd be water rippling and little fish darting left and right. So we're getting range motion, we're getting social interaction, and we're getting the hand-eye coordination because Jake could be catching the ball and then rolling it back to Alex. And at the same time, the social skills are enhanced because it's a collaborative endeavor. You can't hold the ball to yourself, and you can't become petulant or have a meltdown and expect the other participant to be enjoying the game with you. So we're seeing for the first time they're able, on almost a peer level, to enjoy an activity together. It's also given Jake a safe space. On the floor, and notice this is a very simple hopscotch game. I don't know if that's the term they use out there. Here we call it hopscotch, but you got to go on one leg and then the other and try and hop through all of the different patterns. The squares will react and reward that gesture I was mentioning earlier with sound and with color. So Jake's hopping along here. It's a safe space for him. He can enjoy this by himself, perhaps get rid of some of that pent-up energy. And just to point something out on the technology, normally we're projecting onto this white surface like a television, a cinema screen. Is that color? It can be any old table, as long as it's got that color. But even here on this very dark floor, you can see it's still quite vibrant, even with the sunlight streaming into the or onto the curtain in the background. So you needn't have a dark room. The projection is very powerful. Jake's mum says there's been a remarkable improvement in his core strength, his confidence with his physical ability, and that's coming through all of the movement. And the movement, part of the engage, it's natural to want, when you see something being splattered, to want to reach out a little further, to paint just a little further up the palette. We see children in wheelchairs really using the core muscles, stomach, chest, trying to heft themselves up as far as they can so they can reach over the table to reach that object on the other side through the activities that we provide. Okay, and just another shot to show there's the buddy up against the wall. It just gets a power cord. That's all it needs. Safety disconnect. If you pull hard on the cords, the cable, it will disconnect. So children can't injure themselves. And they're enjoying an activity here, which takes a little bit of concentration. This is where you choose a mime. And what Alex is choosing is how to make the sound of a bird. And you can just imagine the type of fun and giggles that comes out of that activity. Okay, so that's the story of Jake. We're very proud to say that the story was also featured on national television in the UK, ITV. And as a result, many of the charities have been inundated with requests, and we're super excited to be working with them also. Okay, so that covers a child with, I think, quite a challenging lifestyle, not only for Jake, but also for his family. Just being able to run a bath or cook dinner and not have to worry, it just gives that a little bit of a breather. So now I'd like to just flip over to another case study, and this is in a library set in Somerset, which is an area of the country to the southwest of England. And what has happened, and I'm sure it'll be the same in the US as well, is with the advent of, or the onset or onslaught or whatever it is with the internet, libraries are falling into disuse. A lot of children aren't reading anymore, adults aren't reading anymore, everything is online. But the libraries have great facilities, and they're staffed by people that have a real passion for learning and for teaching. And so the Somerset municipality or borough took it upon themselves to try something new with their library. And they approached us. Initially, it was a trial, and then they've gone permanent. So they have a Mobi here, and it's projecting onto a table. So it's nice and mobile. They can move it around their facilities. And what we're seeing here is an elderly gentleman with a baton to help him reach further out. And he's playing in this pseudo pond, ripples, fish, and he's clearly having a good time. And this plays very well into, I think, the reason for libraries to spark curiosity, to bring people together in a learning setting. But in today's day and age, to make that learning setting a lot more dynamic than it used to be when I was a kid, where it was all hushed up and you had to keep quiet and everybody gave you the old wrinkle brow if you put your book down too loudly. I think that's changing. And what Somerset has set out to do is to use their library as a gathering place. So yeah, we see an elderly gentleman, different communities coming together, different members of the community, people with disability, people with autism, and also special needs that were previously perhaps precluded from being able to read and enjoy the library facility in the way that more able people are. Now they have an interactive technology that they can use, and it's quite portable, so they're getting maximum use out of it. Okay, some great testimonials. Just as an aside, here we see the Mobi on the floor. There's a beanbag that we supply with the unit, along with all the other props like paintbrushes and balls. And I think we're going to get a little demo in a moment of this in action. But you throw the at the target, the water then shimmers, and there's a bit of mental arithmetic to remember your score. People would be sitting in a circle and naturally would be heckling each other and cheering each other on. And we've had really good feedback. You've hearty testimonials from this particular lady that attends the library with her father. There's some nostalgia activities, so we can bring stories from the war, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the music to life. And that has been a real highlight for him emotionally. And we've also had some institutional interest. NHS is the national health system in the UK. You've probably heard about. Care homes are now looking at also possibly using this in care facilities as well. We do a lot in senior care, but they're looking at this also for in-home care. Okay, right. So that covers my two case studies I just wanted to cover very quickly. And I think we're going to hand it back now just to see some of these devices in action. Amy?
Yeah, so Bailey is in our headquarters, Texas headquarters. She's going to demo the product, but thank you so much, Trevor, for elaborating on a few of the case studies and use cases. And as you can see, you participants, it's very versatile as far as what you can do. There's options for at home. Also, engaging, I think, is the most important part in collaboration with these products. We're incorporating tech. And also in senior living facilities, they may be not used to tech. So we're bringing it to them in a way that makes sense to them. And engaging and inspiring them to not be afraid of what's coming ahead and what they can do and how they can exercise their brains in a sense, right? I think that's important for everyone is we're fostering teamwork, we're fostering collaboration, and then the mental engagement and physical engagement as well. If you are handicapped and you cannot use your legs or the bottom half of your body, whatever the case is, you can still engage the top half of your arms, your larger motor and fine motor when you are playing with the accessories that come with it as well. So thank you so much for sticking with us while we gave you a few use cases. I'm going to pass it off to Bailey. She's going to show you the model we have in our Texas office. Go ahead, Bailey.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello. I'm going to show my face for a second because mostly you're going to look at my hands for now. So this is the Mobi. Currently we're projecting onto the floor. We've just got a nice serene sort of water lily scene that if you essentially again, does not need to be touched. It's not, activated by, certain stomping or anything. It's actually detecting light and shadows. So you can see the ripple effects that I'm making just by, walking into this, as well as pushing around some of these, top level surface water lilies. But I wanted to show off this one first to kind of, well, first I'll give you a relaxing thing to look at, but second of all, to show you how easy it is to sort of change the pre-made activities, which there are several. We're definitely not getting to everything. This is a water activity. And there's a couple of settings that come with sort of each type of activity. In this one, you can actually change the speed of the fish. So if you have some, maybe more, intellectually stimulated, but less like physical, they have more things to look at. It's a little bit more, engaging versus if you need to calm down, then you can turn down those fish, and you can even have them stop swimming if you need things to be, more static and calm. But the other big setting on here as well is just the fish swimming away. So before I could only really interact with the water lilies. Now, if I use this ripple effect, the fish will actually swim away from my feet as I come towards them. And how am I changing these settings? It's literally as simple as just using the only remote control here. I don't know if you can see that on camera. There we go. But essentially, to select the type of setting, you use the right or left arrows, and to change those numbers, just the up and down. And then to exit whatever activity you're in, you just hit OK. And that'll take you back to your activity menu selection. Now there is an autoplay feature, so you don't have to worry if somebody, swipes your remote and, starts messing with it. There's ways to essentially lock things, and also to essentially stop interaction completely if you need to, grab attention. I don't know how much exactly we're going to go over all the details, but just to give you an idea. This is what we were seeing in Trevor's presentation, which is essentially the water score count. I've got some feedbacks here with me, and essentially you have one red team, one blue team, or if you want to make it a collaborative effort and try and make it a bit of a math game, just a little bit of hand-eye coordination, and we get, again, a nice interaction of ripple based on where those beanbags get tossed. Let's see for that green team. Or maybe it's, about color. I want you to hit what's red. I want you to hit what's green. Please try and land in the blue, or something like that. It doesn't always have to be numbers. All right. That's it for the water activities. Let's try and move on to something else. If we're sticking educational, there is a quiz option. Again, possibly better for the more intellectually, stimulated, but these quizzes can be crafted to be as simplistic or as, challenging as you need them to be. So if I can't tell what is a rabbit, I'm gonna go ahead and make a wrong answer for now. I'm gonna say this is a rabbit. Nope, it's a guinea pig. Try again. What about this one? Oh, that must be a rabbit. And then it will move on to my next question. That's a horse. Yeah. Oh, that must be my dog. And then finally, we'll go ahead and pick our lion over here. And again, most of these quizzes, we try and keep them very short. It does still keep track of your score of which one you got right away versus ones that you needed help on. But you can also customize it to change to either have no score, be longer, have more options, etc. What if we wanted to have a small lesson? We're learning about the letter V today. This might also be very, current in people's lives with things like, how do I explain the coronavirus to, a child, V being for virus, but then also gamifying it. Let's heal these lungs by clearing out all these virus here. This is a splat game. So essentially, once it detects that you have splatted these germs. They will change image. And you can make it very fun. It does not have to be calm. You can make it chaotic. And the game just begins again as soon as you finish. What if we wanted something a little bit more interactive? You don't necessarily need a paintbrush, but if you want to talk about archaeology tools and the like, we're going to go digging for some dinosaur fossils today. Oh, I see some bones here, so I'm going to follow it. What have I got here? Oh, nice big skull. And then after they've uncovered it, maybe you want to say, hey, what dinosaur do you think that is? Do you know what that is? And maybe because it's upside down, it's more challenging, but a triceratops, that must be what it is. How about this? Oh, is that a dinosaur? It's only a part of a dinosaur. Fossils aren't found, completely intact all the time. Sometimes the scientists have to piece them together, et cetera, et cetera. You can make up talking points as you go, or again, it can just be an open field for play and discussion. And you'll notice that even though I was only using the brush in certain spots, a lot of stuff cleared very quickly. Again, it's all because it's very light and shadow based. So if I'm up near this projector and my shadow is much bigger, it's going to wipe faster. So again, try and kind of keep the projector up and away from where those kids might interact to get more precise. But another way you can change that precision is that wipe size. So let's say we do have someone that's maybe physically disabled and cannot reach as far. They're in a wheelchair, they're set here, we don't want them rolling their wheelchair over, though they could. We want them to kind of use their hands and their abs and that upper body strength to reach. Well, you can help them. You can essentially increase that wipe size so that as they stretch, it will uncover more things faster. So they still have the ability to do just as much as someone that could, race over here. The fade back delay is just essentially how fast did the sand cover the fossils back up for them to be revealed. Any questions so far? I'm kind of just charging through some of these demos, but do let me know.
You're having a lot of fun there, Bailey.
I am.
That is wonderful.
This project.
We actually do have a question from Luan, and I don't know if Bailey can answer, or maybe you, Trevor. Luan is asking, does the interactive display work the same when projected from the rear so that the user's body is not obstructing the images?
Okay, maybe I can jump in there. Great
Yes.
question. Thank you. So we have various types of technology. This particular one, you cast your shadow onto the surface or onto the wall. But we have another product called Reflex, where you actually stand behind the camera, and the camera will film you and project you into the image. So in that case, it's against the wall. There's no shadow. And I'm gesturing now, and when you wave your hands up like this, the camera will detect where your hands are, and that's the gesture. That's really good for when you're teaching, special needs where there isn't awareness of where the body and the limbs are. Or sometimes a child has a Tourette's behavior, or an adult. So you want them to see that, hey, if you move your hands like I am now, it affects the world around you. So we try and keep them very still, and then butterflies would land on them, or footballs, or lilies, or whatever it is. At other times, child confidence or adult confidence may have been decimated, and you want them to move. In that case, when we want to chase the butterflies away, we want to chase the objects away. So that's what that product Reflex does.
Maybe you just need some quiet time. Maybe we're talking about letters again and Y is for yoga. Maybe it's, all right, everybody, let's, sit on the mat and do some breathing exercises. Follow the words on the screen, etc. You can kind of bat around these little circles that are there, but other than that, the interaction is very minimal, and yet at the same time, it's still engaging. So it doesn't have to be all about stimulation. It can also be about calming and relaxation. All right, so I'm going to switch over to, well, actually, you know what? Peyton, you want to help me out with this? So, if you want something a little bit more competitive, there are sort of these air hockey. These are also great for the table, but also very engaging on the ground if we need some more physical activity in the room. Essentially, just a bit of a, ooh. And let's see if I can get Peyton here to score. Hey! And there are versions with no scoring, so there's a way to not keep track. And again, the thing that the kids might get, again, a little frustrated with is, again, it's all based on that shadow, like we were saying, and not exactly where your foot is. So if my shadow doesn't quite reach where that ball is, even if my toe hits it, ooh, pretty great. Just know, if they stand super close to the projector and try and kick the ball from here, they're going to take up half the field. All right. Let's try.
Well, Bailey, thank you so much for showing us. That was definitely what everybody wanted to see. We have one more question here. Let me see if we can answer it. Jackie is asking, for pediatric hospitals, do you have content related to preparing children for a specific medical procedures? Trevor, maybe you can answer that one.
Good question. The unit ships from the factory with about 300 activities on it. So within there, you'll find a very rich set of either energy creating or calming effects. However, if you have something specific in mind, you can make your own. And making your own is as simple as, let's say you took a picture of the MRI machine, take a photo of it. That photo can become the background, and perhaps you want to splat the virus in front of the MRI machine. And even the little photo of the virus, if you had something else, a cockroach or whatever it is, that can be substituted. And there's no programming involved. You need to just choose your picture. Now, for a pediatric hospital in central London called Great Ormond Street, which is the preemptive pediatric hospital in the United Kingdom, they have a MRI ward, and every ward has the name of a sea creature. So that is called the turtle ward, and then you have the dolphin ward and the whales ward. And for the turtle ward, what we did is, instead of fish, we had turtles swimming. So the clinician would walk the patient down the corridor, and they would actually follow the turtles into the MRI ward. So in the corridor with the bright lights and everything, we had 15 feet by about 5-6 feet. We had the projection of these turtles, and some children were afraid of the water. So we also had one with a little boardwalk. So you could either walk on the boardwalk, or you could be walking in the water with the turtles. So there's a rich set of content available, but you have the ability very easily to add your own.
Wonderful. I think we can just go right away to questions. We have a lot of questions from people, so we're just going to go ahead. Don't forget to follow us as well on our social media channels. Amy, if you want to share maybe the screen so they can see where they can find us. We're going to have more webinars too, talking about different products and tools for education. So this other question is, Luan is also asking, will it be work from underneath the table or from behind sliding partitions if they were fiberglass?
Yes, so you can project onto semi-transparent. It works quite well. You just got to keep an eye on your ambient light. So because we're working a lot with infrared, you can't have direct sunlight. So as long as you don't have direct sunlight, you can be projecting from behind sometimes you get the windows have that kind of screen so people don't walk into it, and that works really well as well. You can project up, as I said, with we're working with people in a burn lab over in America. And for the burn victims, it's very, very traumatic to be bathed. So they look in there to project against the ceiling when they're being bathed, just as a distraction. And also with anesthetics, when young patients have to be anesthetized, we're also looking at projection against the ceiling there. So different applications depending on what your particular requirement is.
Wonderful. We have one question from James, and he's asking, can OMI interactive technology be adapted to create personalized learning experiences? If we have different levels of cognitive function or sensory processing issues, is it possible to create personalized learning?
Oh, okay. So quite a few questions in one there. First of all, can you create a personalized experience? Yes. We have an initiative called Life Stories that is used in senior care. And what happens there is if it's someone's special birthday, let's say 80th birthday or 90th birthday, then the children and the grandchildren contribute pictures, perhaps of the wedding day, perhaps of the wedding cake, the wedding song, and you can assemble that into a life story. Second part of that question is, can you have a program for a particular person? Yes. The way we've gone through the technology very briefly, but imagine you have a directory for Mary and a directory for Bob and a directory for Jane. And within that directory, you can have the activities that you want them to exercise on. So some of the tools and games and activities we have are for memory. So there's a Quiz Pro that is just too much to demonstrate in a webinar like this. But Quiz Pro it's a pub quiz game, gesture-based again, self-help, up to 1,100 questions, ranging from really reasonably easy to really tough. You can also have individually set the different speeds of the games. We've got hand-eye coordination games like the catch game, where objects are raining, a baseball rains down, or apples, or tiara. And we also have the double splat game. And the newest game that we've got that's going to be released this summer, 2 new games. One is Jigsaw Puzzle, and we believe that's a world first, where you can have any picture. You can take a picture of someone's dog, put it down there, and then they can choose at runtime where they want it to be a 2-piece puzzle, right up to a 100-piece puzzle. And then with gestures, they're able to build the entire puzzle. And when they're finished, if it's part of a video, it comes to life. So that there you can scale the difficulty based on the number of pieces and also the complexity of the image. And the other game that's coming in the summer is Sort. And this is where you might say you've got 5 baskets. Please sort all the laundry into one and all the litter into the other, and the pets or the dogs or the cats. And again, there you can set the number of items to be matched. And you can really have fun with the complexity of the game, because you can make, if you're sorting cats and dogs, that's fairly straightforward, but you can start making the variances quite subtle, like 3-sided shapes, 4-sided shapes, 6-sided shapes, odd numbers, even numbers, prime numbers. There's a lot coming through that particular activity. So you can have a custom set of activities per individual in their directory, and you can lock that directory with a PIN code, because you don't necessarily want people's personal photos being shared.
Wonderful. Trevor, we have another question, and this is from Jessica. She's asking, how many students should interact with the exercises projected in a classroom of 20 students?
Okay, so the system is multi-touch, which means more than one person interact. It's unlimited. The limiting condition isn't so much how many people can touch, but how many you can fit around the space. So on the table, like we've got there, we can go a little bit wider than it. We can probably go to about 6 feet wide. You can comfortably, I think, get 5 or 6 students at the same time around the table. There, Bailey's just raising it for us, and you can see it goes much larger, limited by the size of the table. Now, if you go onto the floor, on floor mode, you can go to about 12 feet. So you could probably sit about 10 people around that surface. So those are your limiting conditions rather than, you know, how many can touch at the same time. The other thing you've got to do is manage the chaos. Because it's sensory and it's stimulating, everybody wants to jump in and they just want to start gesturing and having fun and ringing bells and playing drums and all the rest of it. But as Bailey pointed out, we've got that mute button, which is great for communication because you can freeze interactivity and then get everybody to settle down. And once they calm, then you can get them to participate again. So what Bailey's showing there is just different. She's sizing the image to the size of the vinyl that we've got on the floor there. Now that's probably about 6 feet, I would say. But if you go larger, you can go a heck of a lot larger than that. That's with the Mobi. If you have the install, which is in the roof, so let's say you've got a ceiling height of 11 foot. No, it's a bit high. 9 foot. When you project down, you're going to get an image size of the floor of roughly the same size. Hopefully that answers. Oh, yes. The other thing is if you go for the wall projection, now wall is our latest product and we're super excited about it. You can go really wide on a wall. You can go 12 foot wide on a wall and probably about 6-7 feet tall, and then the interaction is against the wall, and that's a very different dynamic again. So we've got a gymnasium, I think it's in Texas, where they're going to have 2 projectors side by side because you can cascade these. You can have 6 parallel if you want. So one whole wing of their gym for rainy days is going to be an interactive wall. So you'd be able to get, I reckon about 20 users at the same time there. So there are various solutions depending on what the learning plan is.
Perfect. We have more questions, actually, lost them here. So that's good. So now Carol is asking, how long does it need to be charged?
This is permanently plugged in the wall, so
okay.
You can't really. We are speaking to a care home in Alabama that they're going to put a power pack on it. It's very rare. It's better for it to be plugged in permanently. Normally, the interaction is in front of the device. So where Bailey is having fun there, you have the unit standing to the side and then the power cord. Maybe just point to the power cord there, Bailey. That's sitting kind of out of the way in the background. And that's where you would plug it in. Yeah, just to bring it up there. So it's nice and out of the way.
Philip is asking, will you be able to link up with another group who has the unit and interact with and log into the same game?
That would be Nirvana. At this point, unfortunately not. One of the things we're very mindful of is predatory behavior on the internet. So the devices are not connected to the internet. You can't connect them to the internet, in fact. And until we've got the cybersecurity and data protection, because we're global, data protection in every country giving that reassurance to the users, we're probably going to just stay offline for a while.
And I think that's one of the highlights of it is that internet is not needed. So there's a lot of places where, a hospital setting or a setting where they do not want internet to be allowed. That's the beauty of it is it's plug and play as far as just needing wall power and having all of the content living on the device itself and not needing internet.
Mm-hmm.
But then Amber is asking, can you create your own exercises and upload them to the portal?
Yeah, good question. So what we provide is a framework with, and I've got to count now because it keeps increasing. Soon we're going to have 8 different effects. And within that effect framework, you got carte blanche. So an effect would be splatting objects. So within the tool, you can set the object in the background, the object in the foreground, the sound that gets played, the number of objects, the speed of the objects, whether they bump into each other or not. So that's the splat. Then we have wipe, and then we have scatter. We've got trails, we've got quiz, we've got water, etc. So within that framework, you're able to create your own activity. Even with the game, that soccer game that Bailey demonstrated, you can have your school's emblem in the background. You can have your own shape of goals. You can, with a puzzle, you'd be able to just choose any picture you want, and that can be the puzzle that they're going to build. But it's always within the guidance of those activities. And that's why there's no programming. It's like plug and play. You just bring in your photos and off you go. And there's no programming. And the feedback is instantaneous. As soon as you've dropped in a picture, you click OK, and you'll see immediately what it looks like.
Wonderful. Josh is asking, is there any data gathering from the portal that they need to?
Very good question. We get this question a lot. So we're facing 1 or 2 constraints. Number 1, we're not on the internet, so we keep it local. Number 2, for the technology to identify who the user is at any one time, we're looking at tools to do that. But what you don't want is people wearing bracelets or a lot of logging in and stuff like that. So it's early days for us. What we have started doing with the sort game is at the end of the game, what we call the splash screen, where you get the hoorah, well done, you'll get the statistics, how long it took, how many mistakes were made, how difficult the game was, and how many correct answers there were first time around. So you'd have to note for Jeff or for Jim in a notepad, this is how they did, and then run that. What we will do is automate that, but we still have some hoops to jump through, like data protection, privacy, formats of data. There's quite a bit there still.
Wonderful. Kevin is asking, how many lessons are total in the portal?
When you get the unit, if you've bought what we call SEND, Special Education Needs and Disabilities, you get 300 out of the box.
Okay.
If you're going for senior care, which is your dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, you get 200 out of the box. But they'll have an adult, I don't want to use the word adult theme. They're more adult content, like lakes and forests and, things that adults don't like, cartoony things. So there won't be any cartoony things in there. But that's just the limit of what you get out of the box. There's no limit on how much you can create yourself. So you can add another 500 if you wish, if you have the photos and the music and everything that goes with it. And the interesting thing, we're very mindful of copyright issues because we're a commercial enterprise. But schools, at least in the UK, are not bound by the same copyright rules. So you're allowed to use music, you're allowed to use images, film clips, video clips that we're not allowed to provide with the unit. But you at your leisure can use as many as them because you fall under that umbrella.
Okay, perfect. And the last question we have for today is, and this is actually more for Amy, they're asking for the pricing of the unit.
So just, you can feel free to contact me. My email is amy@robotlab.com. You can email me. We can reach out and talk about that separately if you'd like.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. So Trevor, Bailey, thank you so much for taking the time and explaining this amazing technology for education and also for special education as well, and for other type of industries as well, like assisted living and more. And we are very happy for our partnership, Trevor, and we are actually excited to share this type of technology with educators, with therapists, with a lot of people out there. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everybody who joined. Thank you for your questions. Don't forget to stay tuned for more webinars coming soon. and for sharing this with you guys. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Amy. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye
Bye,
now.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.